The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the K-Ghost Radio Network and its website are those of the host, guest, and participants, and they are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcast, management, or advertisers of the network. The show is found under LJA Broadcasting Network. UFO Talk Radio can, but does not necessarily promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and they are not intended to treat or diagnose and or claim to cure any disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice. All music is purchased and owned by LJA Broadcasting.
I got the windows rolled down, got the radio up, and I'm heading out of Vegas tonight. And it's 1:30 on a 4-day run, and the desert is a welcome sight. I can see you there in that dress you wear, and it's keeping my foot on the gas. I drink a gallon of Joe just to make it back home and hold you in my arms at last. There's a full moon shining, lighting up the highway like a beacon to you. If I can make it on time, that's a moonlit stay line to roll a diesel right on through.
From deep in the desert of Nevada, broadcasting to the world, it's the Glenn Larry Show. Are you ready? What you are about to experience is real. Right along with us. From deep in the desert of Nevada, the Glenn Larry Show.
And I do bid you all welcome, everybody out there, and to all my friends and relatives and radio personality friends, to the low-powered broadcasters at low-powered FM, AM broadcasting net. We say hello to all you guys out there, all my affiliates, and like I say, the small broadcasters. That's what it's all about, to have fun like shows like this. To KPFF in Brompton, Nevada. What a great little station for you folks up there. Get a chance, tune them in. They're just a great station, I'll tell you for sure. And to all the sidebanders and to all the ham operators out there listening, 73s to you on all the late night truck drivers. As you know who we are, you're listening. We do thank you kindly. Yes, tonight is Halloween. This is where all the goblins and all the costume kids are out, the ghost and maybe their Star Wars, whatever they're going to wear as a costume, but they're running around out there and they're kind of going wild because they're having fun. So as drivers out there, please watch out for the children. This is Halloween. Drive very slow in your neighborhoods and around your other neighborhoods that you don't know where you're going or where you're at. I mean, watch for those kids that they're out there, and then they'll just pop out, and all of a sudden you got a kid there. So be very careful. They have masks, and I hope that the parents have had the mask looked at so the kids can see through those masks properly. Yeah, a lot of candy going out, a lot of cool stuff given to them. So parents do look over that candy for the kids to really dive into it, because you never know these days. And anyway, happy Halloween. Yes. Tonight we're going to have, we'll talk about Halloween stories, scary stories. Our stories are just very odd. I've got a few here, and we're going to be taking your calls very soon, and to hear you guys of your stories and what you've seen, or maybe you heard this story, or maybe it's a true story, but fun for Halloween. And we'll be opening these lines very soon. Now, I had a great week, although a couple of days ago I fell. Imagine falling. It's not fun at our age. And I actually cracked a couple of ribs. And I'll get these little spasms once in a while, and it'll kind of knock me back, I'll tell you, because it really do hurt. And, well, the cat got underneath my feet. You know how kitty cats can do that? Cats can do that. And I just tried to move around from her, and then I fell. And I fell onto a box fan. You know those box fans that I was going to put away. If I would have put it away, it wouldn't have landed on and broke my ribs. But that's whatever. That's what happened, or cracked my ribs, or bruised them, or what have you. And I guess not much you can do for them, but just let them heal. Try not to lift anything, whatever. I'm thinking about wrapping them. But yeah, it was kind of a real bummer, I'll tell you for sure. It wasn't fun at all. Yeah, I love, the Olympia only is okay. Radio got my Olympia. You will be seeing me on Facebook also. They should be popping up for you guys, as I can see. Do you have a story? Well, let me tell you this story. This is told to me by a truck driver. And he goes on these long runs, but they're the runs he does all the time. But it's a long, long ways. And one night, about 3 a.m, there was this hitchhiker. And he saw the guy and pulled over and actually picked him up. A lot of these truck drivers these days don't do that anymore because they got regulations. They can't do it. The companies say you can't. But the independent drivers, I'm sure, do that once in a while. But as he picked this hitchhiker up, he got into the cab, looked like a nice kid and what have you, and he's just going down the road a bit, he says. So as he did, they went down the road, and they're having this conversation, and the guy says, yeah, I'm from around here. And the guy says, well, where are you heading? He said, well, just down the road, And of course, the guy said, 5 miles, 1 mile, 10 miles. Says, oh, I'll let you know, And he asked for a cigarette from the truck driver. He was smoking a cigarette. And so he gets the cigarette, and the cigarette wasn't lit at all. He had put the cigarette to his mouth. And of course, the truck driver's driving and looking straight ahead. And he smells smoking. Says, God, he didn't see him light the cigarette or didn't offer him a light. That was one odd thing happened. And then as they're talking, this guy seems to know all about this truck driver. He's never met him before. Well, just picked up a hitchhiker. And he turns and looks at the truck driver, and he kind of looks over at him, just nods and says, everything okay? He says, yeah. And then the guy just vanishes. And with the cigarette, which is pretty crazy, Yeah. That shook him up. I don't think he picks up hitchhikers much more anymore. I think he's done with that. How about the kids that have the black eyes? You ever seen that before on television or what have you? Where they, these kids will come up to your car, knock on your window, and ask you for a ride or whatever, and you let them in the car. Of course, I wouldn't let these kids with black eyes come in my car, but they're very strange. And there are folks have had people hit the doorbell and ask to use the phone. Never let kids in the house that have black eyes. I don't think they're kids. I think they may be something else. And I'm sure you've heard of this before. Quite scary, I'll tell you for sure. Very, very, very scary. Of course, Halloween. I don't think there's any black-eyed kids walking around right now. Hope not. But, and how about this one? There's a guy that on a back road over here on the old highway that jogs. He's a jogger. We just call him a jogger. And you'll pass him at night. He's got reflective clothes on. He's jogging. You go past him, you see him, then you don't see him in your mirror. And that happens all the time. Well, I've had a lot of people tell me about that. Oh, the hitchhiker, yeah. He'll wave at you, and then you look in your mirror, he's not there. You look back, he's not there. He has nowhere to run. It's a flat desert. Long road. Yeah, that's another one. What's happened to you to be scary on Halloween? Is it always Halloween that the weird stuff happens? Or is that just folklore that's happening? It's interesting. Yeah. We've had a lot of paranormal stuff come up lately. In fact, last night I was at the Pioneer Saloon in Good Springs, Nevada, 1913. Yeah. And I was sitting with Old Man Liver. He has his own whiskey out. Great guy. And the Pioneer Saloon is a lot of fun. And it's haunted. Believe me. And they had some gentleman in there. It has a YouTube channel, apparently. And he had filmed, and we saw his film that's going to be coming on TV, television. This guy does a lot of this stuff, like Ghost Hunters, something like that. And it was fascinating. Yeah, and we had a nice little talk afterwards. Had a great time. Met some nice people. Little hand reading there. And yeah, some cool people. They have the ghost tours up here all the time. And this guy has a lot of fun taking folks out from all over. He goes on these ghost tours. And I guess he has a mob tour also. But yeah, you can come out and use the EMF some of the devices they use to talk to ghosts and all that stuff. But on Halloween, what doesn't make it so scary on Halloween? Hollow. Yeah. What type of costume did you go today? What did you have, an office party? Did you, are you dressed up right now? What did you wear? I'd like to hear about that also. I do see some lights out there. Uh-huh. Yeah, it looks like some kids doing something, having some fun. Check that candy, but Mom and Dad, please do. We're going to be back right after this.
Mom, you wanted to talk to me?
The calendar hypnosis into thumbtack cushion, completely tailwind. And sewing elephants plant before cartoon paper cups. So numbers renovate.
If your teenager is trying drugs or alcohol, would you know the right words to use?
Afterward, lightly fish scale. Doorbell.
Find out what to say at drugfree.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America.
Every day, people are afraid to report violent crimes. In times like these, choosing to report a crime or helping the police can be a difficult decision. A no-snitching culture has sprung up in our communities, making it unpopular and sometimes even dangerous to report a crime. Do the right thing by calling 911 or your local crime tip line. If you're the victim of a crime, report it. If you know about a crime, report it. To learn more about how to do the right thing, visit ncpc.org or contact your local law enforcement agency.
A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
Now, back with Glenn Larry on UFO Talk Radio, deep in the desert of Nevada.
And I'm back on Halloween. Yes. Hey, want some shouts to a couple people out there, especially Creekside Diner at Kennett Square in Pennsylvania. What a great place, fantastic place to go. My friend owns the place, Karen. Yeah, does a lot of fun stuff for the EMS and all of the folks and supports their little town there. It's a neat little place, to tell you for sure. And a shout goes out to Avondale Fire Department, Station 23, to Chief Hall. And I know they had their little get together at their station house for Halloween. I bet that was a lot of fun too. To all the nurses and emergency staff at the hospitals and those that are there, and those techs that watch out for us and take care of us, we do thank them kindly too. Looks like some numbers are up. I have Florida listening. I have Memphis, New York, got Olympia. Yep, we've got Olympia, a couple of them up there. And Reno, I'm going to say hello to Tim and Elko, Joyce and Lacey. My goodness, we got some lot. Oh, got Randy in PA. Yep, say hello to him. D in Ken in Florida. Gosh, I hope he calls me up with the scary stuff. But I'll tell you, he has a couple of scary stuff to tell you. And he had some orbs. You know what orbs are? These are spirits that come around, and quite interesting about the orbs and how that all worked. Robin Prump, say hello to him. Jonathan in Texas, hello, my friend. Gosh, good to see you on the board here. That's great. And we do ask you guys, if you know of a station that would like to carry K-Ghost Radio, our UFO Talk Radio, to get a hold of us, then you can go to our just email us at you can go to, this is a simple one for you. Just go to ufotalkradio.com. And there it's right there for you. Or kghostradio.com. It's right there for you. Or go to Glenn Larry 51 at gmail.com. Yeah, that's LARYGLENN. So that's GLENN first, then Larry, LARY 51 at gmail.com. Yeah. I like to hear from you. From people from all over, because it's always fun to see who's listening and what they have to say. We're going to open the lines up now for callers that want to talk about ghosts and want to talk about their experiences and what they've seen, their stories. We still have a couple more here to tell you too, so this is the number.
To talk with Glenn Larry, deep in the desert of Nevada, lines are open at 1-702-874-1114. That's 702-874-1114. Now, here again, Glenn Larry.
And you got the number. You'll see it on the Facebook pages also. We're backing up there, and they should be coming up. I know we have Olympia's on. Several of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are up. And, of course, you got on this YouTube channel. Yes, another story. Oh man, the great, good stuff. How about when you're in your house? This happens a lot with haunted houses, or with a house that may be haunted, or it might be a house that's not haunted. Now, what about when you're watching television and you see something go by? Oh, turn. What was that? No, I don't know. What was that? And then you're doing something in the house and you swear you saw someone on the side of your view here that walks by the hallway, our doorway, a person. And you go in there and nothing there, nobody there in the room whatsoever. And you're looking around and I thought I saw something. Maybe it's just a flicker or a light or something, but it's happening more and more. Who is that? Do you think it's the previous owner of the house? Maybe someone that has passed away? Who do you think that may be? That's scary. Well, how about when you hear things in your house like a whisper? Hey, Carol. Hey, Janet. Larry. Glenn, Larry. I mean, when you hear things like that, just a whisper. Have you noticed when you listen to music sometime or something changes, you hear your name called? That's communication from the other side. And that is a ghost. That is someone's trying to get a hold of you. And if you hear it with someone's voice that you recognize, you'll know the answer to that one, won't you? Open the lines, everybody. Well, hear your story.
To talk with Glenn Larry, deep in the desert of Nevada, lines are open at 1-702-874-1114. That's 702-874-1114. Pahrump lines are open at 775-990-8275. That's 775-990-8275.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
Now, back with Glenn Larry on UFO Talk Radio, deep in the desert of Nevada.
And I am back. Now, have you thought about your story you're going to call in with? I want to hear your stories. I want to hear what you have. Maybe you're busy tonight with trick-or-treaters and you don't have time to call in. I can understand that too. This is a busy night. And that doorbell rings, you hop up. It's your turn, whoever's in the house. Or it's your turn to get up. And now, are kids more picky today of candy they get? I mean, do they want the big candy bar? Well, those are the rich people, huh? Or the small one, Or maybe you get to grab and pull and out you go? Or is it handed to you or what have you? I mean, I would used to load up my pillowcase with all this candy. And we put it out in front of the television, with a scary movie on. And we'd go through it. And I would separate the candies of which type they were and all that. And of course, we threw it up. I'm sorry to say it, but we had done that. And anything that was kind of homemade cookies and stuff, didn't used to worry about that. But we kind of were very careful. Candy, but the candies that sealed, that's what we really went for. The pixie sticks and all the fun stuff back in the day. Gosh, you get some good stuff. I know that. Well, we may have a caller on the line. Hello, caller. Where are you from? And what's your name? And happy Halloween.
Hi, I'm from Palmdale, California. And this is Dr. Roberta.
Well, Dr. Roberta, nice to talk to you.
I've talked to you for a long time.
It has been a long time. Is this night very special for you?
Kind of, sort of. When our family lived in a little town called West Covina, our son had his own separate room. He was just small, he was probably about in 63 or 64. He He used to wake up hollering because there was this green mist in his room, and he said it moved around and it tried to come down and touch him on the chest. But he screamed before that.
It's crazy.
Go down into the room. We didn't see anything. Well, this happened consecutively. We started calling him Grenwald because it was green and it was just a mist. So when we would leave the house, we would say, "Take care of the house, Grenwald. We'll be back." Well, then one night, after several months, the green mist appeared in the room where my husband was. And it started descending down, and my husband jumped up. He was going to fight him with his fist. There was nothing there but mist.
Right, right.
So we don't know what it was, but we moved out eventually, so we don't know if it is still there or not.
Well, but it was a green mist, and it went with the float down from the ceiling to touch your son and also your husband. Yeah. I wonder what it was. I wonder if it was some type of a spirit or what. It's green though, huh?
I don't know. At that time, I didn't actually believe in ghosts, so it was a surprise.
Yeah, unbelievable. I've heard so many ghost stories. It's pretty scary stuff out there. And
there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And there's another story that it was in 1962 that I was in West Covina, same house, and I had the air conditioner on because it was really, really hot. And I was sitting in this big easy chair all curled up, and son of a gun, this guy, I felt movement. And I looked up, and there was this man carrying a briefcase, businesslike, gray hair, probably was about 6'4", walked through the wall, down across the living room, through the wall, out the door, down the driveway. Scared me, I gotta tell you.
Walked through the door, through the wall, with a briefcase. Yes. And did the briefcase go through the wall too?
That went too.
Oh my gosh.
So we don't know. We talked about it. We don't know if it's just another reality or another dimension that they happen to connect. But I tell you honestly, he walked right through the wall.
Unbelievable. I've heard of this before. I've had stuff at my place, stuff like that happening. I think it's a spirit. It's just going somewhere and it's got a mission. And it's either taking a shortcut.
Or some shortcut.
Yeah, you betcha. I mean, or maybe that person or that spirit's making themselves notice that did you recognize any clothing or did you recognize the person at all?
No, he had a gray suit on and a white shirt. And he was this businessman walking through. He didn't even see me.
Did he have a hat on?
The only reason I saw him is I felt the movement and I looked up and there he was.
Wow. Did he have an expression on his face or did he have a hat on or?
No hat, but very serious expression.
He had a briefcase. Huh. Interesting. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. It happens, folks, and you.
Okay, I'm going to let you go. And
thank you.
We'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Doctor. Nice. Appreciate it very much. Bye-bye. There you have it. Wow. More stories. I want to hear more stories. We'll give that number out again for you. I'll have Ross do that. Thank you, Ross.
To talk with Glenn Larry, deep in the desert of Nevada, lines are open at 1-702-874-1114. That's 702-874-1114.
Yes, and I'll tell you, there's another story I'd like to tell you here. In our town of Good Springs, we have an old school. It's a one-room schoolhouse, and we've got about 4 or 5, 6, I think 6 kids in there right now. And it's incredible till they go to junior high, and they come in there and they learn a lot. You know, it's pretty cool stuff. Now, there has been a person at night seen looking out that window of that schoolhouse. Now, it's occupied during the day with kids that go to school. But at nighttime, they say it's an old teacher that was a teacher there, that is looking over the school. And one person in this town that I know very well had waved at this teacher, and the teacher nodded her head and kind of turned her head and looked and smiled and waved back and then vanished. I wonder if she's in the window tonight watching for the kids on Halloween, huh? Thank you for the comments, everybody. I appreciate that. Those who are listening on K-Ghost Radio, the Larry Glenn Everson Show, and listened on the radio side, Facebook, and also YouTube. We do appreciate that. You can always come back and look at this stuff because we will be on those pages for you. And God, we sure appreciate your calls too. So now, if you have another story, something you'd like to talk about, just tell us about it. We'd love to hear it, big time. And the audience out there would love to hear it. We do have a couple folks from Canada. I see it's hidden there. Florida's been a little active tonight. I'd like to hear from you guys, maybe so. We'll get the number out again.
To talk with Glenn Larry, deep in the desert of Nevada, lines are open at 1-702-874-1114. That's 702-874-1114. Now, here again, Glenn Larry.
And you know, when you see a car go by and there's no driver in that car, of course, these days you have cars that can drive themselves, but nobody in a car, and a car drives by, stops at the stop sign, turns left, and continues on. That's been reported lately. How about the car that goes straight ahead, turns on a road and vanishes, disappears? That has been reported. In fact, it's reported from a police department, I think somewhere in Kentucky, that had happened. Strange oddities. Do you ever go swimming in the summertime? You are swimming around and something brushes by you. You can't see it. Maybe it's a fish or whatever. Well, there used to be a lake that kids used to go to, teenagers, and swim, until the rumors started around about the dead guy in the lake. Well, you start thinking about that, and they never found him, but they say that he'll grab at you and pull you under. Well, I stopped swimming in that lake because it really kind of freaked me out. Would it freak you out if that was said to you? Maybe. Yeah, well, it did me. My ribs are killing me. And some other folks I know of that. A couple kids were partying during my time in high school, and they were having a great time in the park. And it was a park that was up and away from houses and what have you. And people would actually camp up there, as I remember. And a lot of strange things happened, as in people seeing ghosts walking together in this park. And you could see them, and you look out your tent and you see these people walking, but you could see through them and they would vanish. Now, that's pretty scary. I would stay in my tent or immediately pack up and leave. But apparently these kids, saw this, and was it a tale? Was it a story? Or did it really happen? Yeah. And again, thank you for your comments that we're getting here again. But hey, your ghost story may be true. How good is this ghost story? Did it really happen? Well, a gentleman was just buried the other day. And it's a pretty crazy story. And there are power lines going over the cemetery, and phone lines, what have you. And at the funeral and all this stuff, had a big storm come through. Power lines dropped, phone lines dropped. And the person that had buried, you've seen these before. You've seen this story before, but it actually did really happen. Yeah, that actually happened somewhere in Connecticut. And the woman had gotten phone calls from her dead husband. Yeah, It did happen. And they found that on his grave was the phone line. Electricity apparently was doing something with that, and actually to bring her home at night. And it happened several times. And that's a true story. Pretty crazy, huh? How things like this could really happen. Or did it happen? Well, it was reported that was a real story. There's so many cool shows right now on television that have some crazy stuff out there. More UFOs are being seen, especially in war zones, have been sighted. Interesting. It very is. I mean, there's a reason for that. What are they watching? I have prayed for world peace, and I hope that you all do also, because this is crazy. New SEAL suicide line out, by the way, suicide line. It is 988. 988 is the new suicide line. And you call that for your help, to get help, and they shall take care of you. And so if anything's going crazy in your life, I would think that would be the number to call. It's 988. I see some affiliates I'm seeing up here that are said that they're broadcasting the show. I'm sure there are a lot of shows out there on Halloween. A lot of cool stuff. Again, we're going to your good calls.
To talk with Glenn Larry, deep in the desert of Nevada, lines are open at 1-702-874-1114. That's 702-874-1114. Pahrump lines are open at 775-990-8275. That's 775-990-8275. He is back. Now, on UFO Talk Radio, Glenn Larry.
And I am back. Boy, I'll tell you, it's cold outside. How is your weather where you live? I mean, we're starting to drop. Let me give you what temperature it's right now. It's 54. Slight wind, little damp, not too bad, but clear skies. Yeah. Gosh, I know there's snow in certain parts of the country. I think Montana's being hit a little bit. I know that Colorado has been. Yeah. So snow around here does not last very long. Maybe a day or two, an inch and a half, and it goes away. Doesn't turn into slush. Gosh, I hate that. You get slush everywhere, especially if it comes in strong and it melts, and it's just, you're trying to, if you're walking, imagine that you're walking, slushing, it's in your shoes, you got damp feet, it's a pain, it really is. And those folks that live around the places that do snow, all the work you have to do about shoveling the snow, that would be a lot of work. Yeah. A friend of mine just repaired his roof and all that, back in the Milwaukee area and Indiana area, and they're going to be hit with snow. I wonder if it's going to be a hard winter for some of these folks. Well, it can really be bad if you're not used to it or raised around it. It can be pretty bad, and it can be very dangerous. When your power fails, what do you do for heat? You haven't got a fireplace. That's big concerns. You betcha. Snow, fun to look at. Over here, when it snows, we have these mountains that kind of around me. It looks like the Alps. It's beautiful, just sugar coated, just wonderful. I think I've had some pictures up for you folks to see that, and you will probably see them again. I'm waiting for this December to happen. I'm sure we'll have some snow in December. Do you have your Christmas lights up? I've seen some guys jump the gun. It's coming into Thanksgiving. When do you put your Christmas lights up? Do you put them up after Halloween, after Thanksgiving, or when would you put them? I know the stores are ready. They're selling Christmas stuff already. So, and it's October, it's just coming out of October. So, yeah, I'll put some around the window, which we usually do, probably about 3 weeks from now, and see how that happens. Yeah, you gotta be in the season. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. I'll have a birthday. Yeah, I'll be 67 years old on the 24th. That's a great date. And so will my sister, my twin. Yeah, she'll be the same age. How about that? Open the lines again for you.
To talk with Glenn Larry, deep in the desert of Nevada, lines are open at 1-702-874-1114. That's 702-874-1114. Now,
all right. And I've got, looks like, okay, Thunder Bay. I have Murray, Idaho. We're looking like we got Mount St. Helens area. Yes, of course, Florida. And what we also got here? Yeah, I got Ed over there, and Lou over there in Milwaukee. Yeah. All right. How many trick-or-treaters have you had so far? Is it big this year, or does it get smaller? It's going on. This is about the time when they hit. Do they cut off at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock? What's the magic time to quit trick-or-treating? They start when it gets dark. But when are they supposed to stop? Or do you just turn the light off on the porch? You're done. You're out of candy. Do you put a sign out that you're out of candy? I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah. Well, anyway, trick or treat, everybody. What is your trick? So you may get a trick. Do you do magic? Yeah, fun stuff too. Did you have an office party today? We used to do that at lunchtime. Be kind of fun. People would dress up with certain stuff. That was a lot of fun back in the day. I don't dress up. I used to do the big Elvis shows back in the day professionally on stage. And I never wore an Elvis outfit for Halloween because I didn't think it was appropriate. But now these days, they wear all sorts of stuff. I mean, all sorts of stuff. And I'm sure you're quite aware of that. As I look out our window here, I see some horses across the street. Yeah, you never know what you'll see in this little town. If I see a moose go by, I'll really be concerned. One of my favorite radio shows, TV series actually, was Northern Exposure, and you'll see that on our website. And they had a little station. I used to just love that show. And that's what this kind of building in the front kind of looks like. But instead of a moose, I have a transmitter out there. Yeah, a real transmitter, FM transmitter. Of course, it's unhooked, and I think it blew up, but the face is there, and all the dials are there. 6,000 watts, more or less. And that came off Mount Potosi from a couple of radio techs, friends of mine. They said, "Do you want some yard art?" I said, "Yes, I do." And I got it. And it sits out there, and I got to trim the weeds around it. But it's something cool to go by and see when you see the station. What is that? Yeah. I see a lot of the stations closing right now, a lot of AM stations going. Sorry to see that. Or they got bought out or what have you. I do see some old stations, the old buildings that I like to look at and see who's done what and kind of bring back the memories of old radio, all that. Have you seen my radio collection, of course, on some of my web pages and Facebook pages? And we do collect old radios, old transistor radios. It's kind of been a hobby of mine. Most of those are mine when I was a kid. And have you asked a teenager ever, or maybe a grandson, do you know what a transistor radio is? And they'll say no. When I handed this transistor radio to this kid, these people came and took a tour of the station. I handed this radio, AM radio, to them. And he didn't know what it was. I said, well, turn it on. This is the volume. Turn it on. You could click, and you could hear our music. I said, that's coming from this station. It's in the airwaves. It's not a phone in your ear. It's not off your phone. It's not something. This is a transistor radio. And I opened up the back and showed him what it was all about. The kid was fascinated. I thought he'd go, all right, so what? But he was fascinated about the transistor radio. So do explain that stuff to him, will you? All right. Here we go. You're on the air. What's your name? At K-Ghost Radio, UFO Talk Radio. You're live on Halloween night.
Hey, Larry, it's Ed. How's it going?
Good, my friend. Do you have a good story?
Well,
gosh,
not so much kind of a ghost story.
Well, let's listen to it.
I used to work for a dealership years ago in downtown LA, Toyota Central.
Cool.
And it was an old brick building. There was no the showroom floor. The lot was underneath the freeway. And the parts department was behind us up the alley, brand new building. So I used to get locked in the building at 6 o'clock in the morning because I would go in early.
Wow.
One morning I'm sitting there and I hear somebody going up the stairs. There's nobody in the building but me.
Just yourself, and you
Just
hear someone walking up the stairs.
And then the first time I heard it, they walked up the stairs and they were walking across the floor up in the upper level because that's where they keep all the records, all the used car deals.
Right.
So the first couple of times I'd go up there and look, wouldn't see nobody. Not a thing.
Wow.
So this went on, kept going on. I just got to the point I ignored it. So I asked the owner one day, I was told that the parts department was built over an old cemetery.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. And they didn't remove all the bodies.
Nobody said anything. Nobody said, what they did. They just said it was built over a cemetery.
Right.
Because the parts building was newer than the brick building that we were in.
Oh, my goodness. Oh.
So
That
it was in
is,
the downtown area. So, there was a lot of old buildings
yeah.
built back in the day.
Well, that's crazy, man. I've heard of different buildings being haunted. We had a hotel we worked at. It was called the Nevada Landing. And there was this one floor, apparently, on the far wing that apparently was haunted. I think it was the third or fourth floor, something like that. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm sure that's a third floor. And I had gotten on the elevator with a security guard and another person, another host, and another person in the elevator, which was in the elevator when it came. We had to go up to this room, and the person says, "What floor would you like?" And we're all saying at the same time, I think third floor, and the guy smiled, and we just kind of looked at each other and just waited for the doors to open, and we kind of all walked out after each other, and we turned around and there was nobody there. Nobody. This has happened several times in that hotel. I'm getting some notes here from folks that just remind me of that. Owen, yes. Gosh, good to hear from you. How about in Tonopah? There is a hotel up there, and a gentleman was working in the basement, told by his supervisor what to do to take this wall down and, separate with all the parts and all the cement and clean up when you're done. And he's working on this wall, and this lady is standing there, and she says, "Excuse me, son, excuse me. Will you quit what you're doing? Do not take that wall down. I don't want that wall down." And of course, the kid looks up and says, "Well, my supervisor does, and who are you?" And she says, "No, I don't want that wall down. You just go tell your supervisor that he's not going to take that wall down." And so he went upstairs to find his supervisor working on another floor, apparently. And he came down to see this lady. Why did he stop his worker for taking this wall down? And when they got down there, the lady was in the corner where you kind of see her, but it's kind of dark, as you're walking down this basement. And she yelled, "Leave that wall up." And then he vanished. And that's pretty crazy stuff. Now, I don't know what, maybe somebody was in that wall. I don't know, but I mean, yeah, that's pretty crazy. So when you're hearing noises, Ed, in a room or wherever, what building it may be, and it's over an old cemetery, I would think that might be spirits. You think?
You're breaking up.
Do you think it might have been spirits?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure. There's a lot of unanswered questions out there.
Oh, my gosh. You got that right. We're going to try to take some more calls, of course.
Okay.
Ed, I want to thank you dearly for calling. I hope everything's going well with you.
You're welcome to watch where I go tonight.
Be well, my friend. Thank you.
You too. Thanks for having me there.
Yeah, you got it. Nice guy. got some good stories, some good stuff. Yeah, those are pretty whacked out stuff. Kids see a lot of stuff. Kids see a lot of ghosts. They see things and that we can't see, about the little child pointing up in the bathroom where the mommy's there. Look, who are you talking to? No, no, mama. You know, the kid's seeing something. That's obviously, but mama's nothing. Let's see what we got. You're on the air to K-Ghost Radio. Happy Halloween. What's your name and where you from?
Good evening. This is Thomas.
Hello, Thomas.
Happy Halloween to you too.
Yeah, well, happy Halloween. You have a good one for me.
I do. This is actually was friends of ours. They lived in a haunted house. It was being haunted by a Native American. And
wow.
Well, the interesting part about it is that they had mediums come in and were able to communicate with the Native American, and they found out that he had been he passed over in battle, and the reason why he was still hanging around is he was looking for his sacred shield, which I found to be interesting because I was starting to wonder what did ghosts actually see as far as, I mean, at a certain point, wouldn't you realize how long he's been looking for that sacred shield? Because that particular tribe of Native Americans hasn't really been, they haven't been around for, quite a long time. But the other thing about him too, though, is he was confused as to exactly who he was. He knew what he was doing, but not who he was. But in researching about the battles that took place in the area here, one of the things that happened was there was a battle between a group of Native Americans and Texas Rangers. And, this is back in the old Western days, like in the 1800s.
Right.
And what's interesting is that the group that the Native Americans went to attack, they just happened to be carrying a new type of gun that didn't need to be reloaded.
Oh, new Winchester type of? No. What would that be?
Right, Winchesters and their handguns too.
Yeah, right.
Where the 6-shooters where they didn't have to, reload them.
Right.
After each shot, and so when the Native Americans, what they would do is they would have one wave ride towards the people that they were attacking, and then after they fired their guns, they would turn away, and the second wave would come in and try to overrun the position. Well, in this particular battle, when the second wave came in, they were pretty much assured of a victory because they weren't expecting those Texas Rangers to
have those rifles and those guns like that.
Right. So when the Rangers opened fire, they took out almost the whole line. And I just was wondering if that particular Native American that, haunting their house is part of that party, because I kind of feel like they were taken by surprise in a way that maybe they didn't realize that they actually passed over.
It happened so quick.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were so confident and assured of a victory that, it was something completely unexpected. And, but also too, in reading about the habits of the Native Americans, I kind of wonder if it would be a good idea to help him out to remember who he is, or if it's better to kind of leave him confused.
What if you had his identity wrong? And would he remember that's not him, it's somebody else? I mean, that's not my name, and that's not who I am. Or he's just confused that he passed over and he's there. I mean,
well, yeah, he's confused with the fact he doesn't know that he passed on.
Yeah.
He knows that he's looking for his sacred shield.
Right.
Which, of course, at this particular time wouldn't exist anymore. It would have been rotted away if it's made out of wood and leather. But, you know, he doesn't know that. But the thing is, he doesn't remember what Native American tribe he was part of.
Do you think he remembers his surroundings? Does his surroundings look like it's the same surroundings, or is it today he's seeing?
Well, see, that's something I would wish that the ghost hunters would ask.
Yeah.
You know, they just asked him, you know, who he was and what he was doing there, but they didn't ask him what he could see. Because in fact, he does what a lot of you hear in the ghost story of passing through walls and
Yeah, we just heard one. Yeah.
going through doors. It's like, does he even see the house? You know, but what's interesting about that though is he will move things.
Oh, okay.
It's like if you put your keys down on the kitchen counter, and then you come down in the morning, the keys will be over like on the TV set.
That's interesting.
He does move things, so it'd just be interesting if there was a way of, I mean, since he seems to be able to communicate, is to ask questions like that. Is, well, I mean, does he see nighttime and daytime pass by? Does he see a house, or does he see it the way it used to be?
And does he
time and
does he understand English?
yes, he did.
Okay. All right. That's you know, you be talking to a spirit that doesn't speak English. I mean, it's kind of hard to communicate with them, but all they can do is do weird things to you. You know. Now, do you believe that Halloween is the most powerful night of the phenomena for things to happen?
Personally, no. I think any night could be just as powerful as Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to say. I mean, when you're going out on Halloween, you're kind of asking to engage with spirits, right?
Yeah. Well, I would think so.
And it's kind of done in mass, whereas normally, you know, the majority of the population is doing other things, and you have the ghosts, I guess, pursuing ghosts being done by ghost hunters and other people that are in a supernatural industry. But, you know, other people are experiencing it. Now, I've heard that the veils between the worlds are thinner on Halloween, but I haven't, you know, listening to people talk about ghost stories and experiencing ghosts myself, they just seem as active any other night as tonight.
Right. The materializations of a ghost, that's when they fully are like you and I. Can you touch a ghost? Is that possible?
Well, I haven't actually tried that. Now, the thing is something that I mentioned before on one of the other shows, is that my daughter and myself, we went ghost hunting at a local cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I was standing about 10 feet behind her, and we were walking across the cemetery, and somebody shoved her.
I got shoved.
The ghost was able to touch her, and I saw the imprint of the hands on the cloth of my daughter's shirt when she got pushed.
Wow.
So there was somebody there.
Yeah.
And they were able to be solid enough
to touch.
to
I've heard of folks being scratched,
Yeah.
and that's not a good sign.
No, I've seen that happen too during some of the ghost hunting adventures, and a lot of times the feelings that I get is when you're in a cemetery doing that kind of stuff, I really don't feel welcome. It's like that's their space, that, and it's not our time to be there.
Right. Right.
Now, some of the things that I've had happen at that cemetery is where I'm at one end and I could hear voices elsewhere, and then when I go to those locations, the voices will stop.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
So, but like I say, it's like with the Comanche, I find. Oops, I didn't really want to say the name of the Indian tribe, but I guess I just did. But the thing with that Native American is I'm just curious because he said what he was doing is looking for something. I really am curious if they see, days and nights pass by, or is it eternal daytime for him, or because I would think, it's like after about 150 years of looking for something,
right?
You're like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to find that.
Well, I was curious about them. Do they see an automobile? Do they know what a plane is? I mean, are they just in this loop on this fog, this whole thing where they're not even around, or maybe they're just like, gosh, yeah, it's a plane, or or they don't see that. I mean, it's such a thin veil from the other side to here.
Right.
I'm curious how much they can really see. If they're seeing you, they're seeing live you. It's now happening.
Right.
And touching. But if I saw a ghost and it looked kind of friendly, of course, I'd want to go touch it just to see if it would, if my hand go through it, or, type of thing. Yeah, I would challenge myself to do that. I think that if I could get the nerve up, I guess. If I wasn't too in shock.
Yeah, I understand. Well, there's a lot of questions that we want to know. I think one of the biggest ones is there actually life after death? And it seems that there is, but it's also too, I'd like to know why they're there, because as a believer, I kind of would think that they would have been, I guess, harvested or taken to the kingdom of God by now. But I don't know why other than one that explained why he was still here, but otherwise, I don't know why they'd want to hang around in the cemetery. But as far as touching him, I don't know. And also too, in the questioning of them during the ghost hunting, the questions, they don't. I guess when you get really personal with that, I haven't really heard any really engaging conversation after basic questions.
Yeah, this kind of goes dead or goes into another, channel, I guess, what have you. Getting to the top of the hour here, Thomas. Well, I do want to thank you for calling. Really do. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you. You're pretty good with this stuff. You know all about the ghost and all that stuff. It's great, and special night of Halloween. We want to thank everybody that called up, by the way, and took the time. I want to say hello to Alan on the internet, Daryl, and a couple other Carol, and there's Shauna, and a lot of folks from Olympia Radio listening right now. I want to thank them also, Dave and everybody else. So, again, we want to thank everybody for listening. Play well, be well, and check that candy out those kids before they get to it, and check their bags out, everything, because this is kind of you never know. Anyway. Again, Thomas, thank you so very much. And you be well, my friend. We'll be in contact.
You too.
All right.
Happy Halloween to everybody out there.
Oh, fantastic.